Best landing spots for embattled NFL head coaches. So I'm going to start this one off because I got four people.
Okay.
I got four people. Okay. All right. So we're going to start off with a man who, now it's bad when everybody in the city wants you fired so much that they are chanting for you to be fired at other sporting events that are not even the one that you actually work at. So it's like you work at Walmart in Brooklyn, but people are going to the Walmarts in the Bronx and Manhattan and Staten Island and going, fire Paul Esden, fire Paul, because you suck so bad at your job in Brooklyn that throughout the entire state, they are chanting for you to be relieved of your duties. Who am I talking about? We're talking about Matt Nagy. They're at Bulls games chanting fire Nagy. They're at University of Illinois basketball games in Champaign, Illinois, saying fire Nagy. Somebody was in front of my house yesterday and they were saying fire Nagy. I went outside. I said, I don't know Matt Nagy personally. I can't fire. It's been nasty, right? So clearly he's going to get relieved of his duties. But you know what? Matt Nagy's still a very young man by coaching standards. So his career in coaching is not over. I think that he does need to go back the coordinator route to kind of prove himself again. It happens. So where do I think he should go? I think that Mr. Eric Bieniemy should finally get an opportunity to be a head coach. Okay. Been a hot coordinator name for a while. He's offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. Matt Nagy's old post, so to speak. Matt Nagy, I think, could do really well going back to Kansas City, working as the offensive coordinator there, especially if Bieniemy leaves. And then who knows if he continues to have success. Andy Reid's like 172 years old. So because he's 172 years old, there's a chance that he might not be the coach there for very long. It seems like a really seamless transition to have Matt Nagy get his second opportunity as a head coach in Kansas City after he's reproven himself as an offensive coordinator there. And guess what? He gets to work with arguably the best quarterback in the NFL in the process. It's a pretty good situation, I think, for Matt Nagy. Now, let's talk about Mr. Urban Meyer, who has really stunk up the joint in Jacksonville. It's been quite pungent. It's the job that he's done. He's done a pungent job and pungent in a negative way, because there's some sense that comes from like Bath and Body Works that it's a good pungent, yeah, my wife.
That's your favorite store, right, Brian? That's your favorite store, right?
Oh, I love it. My wife walks past, and I just, oh my God, you're pleasantly pungent today. Just beautiful. It's just.
I just went there this weekend.
Permeating.
I've never heard that as a positive. Wow, you smell pungent today.
It can be. You're pleasantly pungent. Tell your wife, Paul, that she's pleasantly pungent today.
I think she'll punch me. But
she probably will. I'm setting you up. But I'm just saying, you're pleasantly pungent today.
I'm just saying.
You can be that way. You can be pleasantly pungent. But that hasn't been what Urban Meyer's been. He's been negatively pungent. So he needs to leave Jacksonville. They need to get him away from Trevor Lawrence as much. I think it was a really bad idea to begin with. Yep. I do not want to give a guy his first head coaching job in the NFL, even if he is Urban Meyer, to deal with one of the greatest quarterback prospects we've seen in the last 15 to 20 years. That's not who I want him to, test himself out on, right? We don't want to do that. Guess what just happened at Notre Dame? Brian Kelly just decided he was going to leave and go to LSU. Man, Urban Meyer, Notre Dame. Seems like, now they might have a problem with him because he has all sorts of mortal sins that they may not want to deal with.
Touchdown.
But from a pure football standpoint, I think Urban Meyer landing in Notre Dame makes a lot of sense. All right, Dan Campbell, he's crying. Everything's going bad on television. He's a large individual too. Dan Campbell has to be the most. He has to be the most intimidating head coach in the NFL. Like, if you're a player and you like got some back talk, you got to think a little twice before you start saying it to Dan Campbell, because it might not go your way, right? It's not like Bill Belichick, because you smack Bill Belichick, you might have a murder suit on your hands because he's 100. You don't want to mess with him. Andy Reid's the same way. They're old. Dan Campbell looks like he could beat most of the guys on his team, so you don't want to mess with him. But he's not done well. He's 0-9-1 or 0-10-1 or something, whatever it is. It's something dreadful. But I do believe that he has a good handle on dealing with offensive linemen and tight ends. That's what his background is. Physical offenses. I think that's where he's at his best. And I know some people in Chicago are going to have a problem with me saying this, but I wonder, when the new regime comes in, whoever the head coach is, maybe it's Joe Brady, which is what I think should happen. But when that new regime comes in, how about Dan Campbell as an offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, something in that realm? I think the physical, aggressive concept that he brings matches the way the Bears will need to play with Justin Fields, because they're going to need a run-first sort of an offense similar to what you see with the Baltimore Ravens, and you need a guy who believes in a physical, grinded-out style on offense to kind of make that offense work. I love the attitude and the personality that Dan Campbell brings. And the Bears need an offensive identity. Their offensive line needs an identity. And I think Dan Campbell's a guy who could bring that. Now, lastly, we're going to four guys. Joe Judge. He is the latest Bill Belichick disciple to fail. It just seems to continue to happen. It's just what happens, right? Joe Judge is not doing well with the Giants. And what do we see often happen with failed Bill Belichick disciples? They return. Josh McDaniels went to Denver, fell on his face, and returned. Matt Patricia went to Detroit, fell on his face, and returned. Joe Judge is going to the New York Giants. He's fallen on his face. I believe there's probably a spot on the Patriots coaching staff in some way. They made up a job for Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia is like the assistant paperclip holder for home games when the temperature is below 35 degrees. It's like this weird, crazy title that he has, but he gets paid for it, and he's always around. I believe that Joe Judge coming back to the Patriots to get an opportunity to work back in a familiar environment is the perfect way for him to reprove himself. I think Josh McDaniels is going to be on some teams' list as a potential head coach. He may still want to try to stick it out and succeed Belichick, and especially now he's a rookie quarterback to look at. But we'll see. But I would like to see, or I think it makes sense for Joe Judge to return to the Patriots. What say you, Mr. Rayner?
I'm going to piggyback off of the Urban Meyer stuff. I mean, if he goes to Notre Dame, Brian, he needs 72 hours of confession time. Before,
is that enough?
He needs a lot of. I will say this, though. I honestly don't think Urban Meyer is going to be an NFL head coach by this time next year. I don't think he's going to be an NFL head coach in 2022. I will say, don't be shocked if his name is on the short list at the University of Oklahoma. And if the University of Miami also opens up, don't be shocked if Urban Meyer's name is there, especially since he has plenty of tie-ins to the state of Florida. So there's the Urban Meyer stuff right there. Now, after that, with Joe Judge, I mean, I feel like at this point, he's definitely better as a coordinator. I think maybe he became a head coach too soon. And so I feel like, yeah, I could see him going back to New England, getting refreshed and all that. And then the third guy that I had in mind, I honestly think when I look at Matt Nagy, this might shock some people. I think Matt Nagy can actually be a head coach, but at the college level. And I say that because the long line, the long listings of college openings that's there. It could be like what happened to a former Bear head coach, Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith had a hard time finding NFL work after Chicago canned him. He ended up staying in state at the University of Illinois. Maybe Nagy could take a Big Ten job that's somewhere near Chicago. Maybe he could take another Power 5 gig. I think maybe Matt Nagy, if he is to be a head coach, he could refresh himself at the collegiate level and then maybe make that jump in the NFL down the road.
Yeah, I don't know. Matt Nagy is he won Coach of the Year in the NFL. Hasn't done as bad a job as I think people, it's 2021. We exacerbate everything. That's just what we do. He does need to be fired, but the time period hasn't been as, oh my God, hopeless and dreadful as people would make you believe. I mean, what is he? 2-3 playoff appearances.
Yeah.
An 11-5 record. They won the division.
He went to the playoffs with an 8-8 record from whatever.
Yeah, last year. That was last year. They went to 8-8 record. So
yeah, the Nickelodeon game.
Yeah, it's. I don't know, man. I definitely think it's time for him to be relieved of his duties, but he's not destitute like many will, have you believe. What about Dan Campbell, Lorenzo?
I think Dan's also out at Detroit. It's a no-brainer. I think honestly, like that kind of coaching, it would fit best for like a run-first team, like a Tennessee Titans. Like maybe he could find a position over there. Maybe the Las Vegas Raiders. Not as a head coach, obviously, but joining on as an assistant. So I could see something there. I am going to say this. I know we talked. I want to go back to the Detroit Lions real quick. We already know at this point Dan Campbell's out. I think the one guy they need to look into as a head coach, Kellen Moore. He's a former quarterback. Jared Goff being a quarterback, maybe Kellen Moore could work wonders, especially with how he's been able to do it with Dak Prescott. No?
Jared Goff has popped. And I wouldn't, if I'm going to get Kellen Moore, it's not for Jared Goff, it's for who I'm bringing in to replace Jared Goff. It's not going to be for Jared Goff. Yeah, Jared Goff is popped, man.
He might be the saving grace, though. He might be the saving grace for Jared.
One last chance. My arm is stronger than Jared Goff's arm. Right now. Warm it up, baby. All I gotta do is give me a couple twirls, and I'm superior to Mr. Goff from an arm strength standpoint. But we'll see. Ryan Sanudo, what do you got, sir? Embattled coaches.
So I'll start with Matt Nagy. There was a coach. He had a really good first year with Cleveland, Freddie Kitchens. And what does he do? He becomes head coach of Cleveland, and then after 1 year he goes to the Giants. Well, I think Matt Nagy is going to be a New York Giant next year. If I were
head coach,
no, not a head coach, offensive coordinator.
Oh God,
no. I wasn't saying head coach. I should have been a little bit more clear. Matt Nagy in New York. I know Giants fans are going to hate that. By the way, they're going to crucify me. They're going to burn me at the stake for saying Nagy as an offensive coordinator in 2021, or 2022. But the Giants aren't really appealing. You don't really know the quarterback situation next year. I have to think maybe Daniel Jones gets one more year. I know it's crazy to say, but because of the quarterback class in 2022. But it's not going to be a very.
I'm better than Daniel Jones too.
Oh yeah, so it's not an appealing destination in 2022. I get you have Kenny Golladay, but Evan Ingram's probably going to be gone. You do have Sterling Shepard, but you got to know does he have a future?
Kadarius Toney, if he can stay healthy.
Kadarius Toney, so they still have Saquon. So I would say Matt Nagy. I know he was terrible this year, the last couple of years as well, but 2018 he made Mitch Trubisky look good. So that's crazy to say. He actually did.
I don't think he ever made Mitchell Trubisky look good, honestly.
You look at the numbers. I was looking at the EPA. They were 8th in 2018, and that's never going to happen again with Trubisky. Can any other coach make Trubisky number 8 in terms of expected points added? Maybe Andy Reid and all those high up ones, but I'm talking about guys that are going to get fired that are going to do that. Probably not. So I would say give Matt Nagy one more try in the NFL. I know a couple guys were saying college ranks, but I think Matt Nagy deserves to be in the NFL. Maybe not as head coach, obviously, but offensive coordinator. I could totally see New York as being an option.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, Matt Nagy got the job because of how good of a job he did with the Kansas City Chiefs as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So, you got to remember all these guys who get elevated to be a head coach, generally it's because they've had massive success as coordinators. So,
people have short memories. So, I mean, people don't remember 2018 and, in their playoff season the next year. So, I'm going to go Joe Judge with the next one. I'm going to say I have a feeling they're going to keep him, which is crazy to say. I feel like they're going to give him one more year. But if I were to say a destination for Joe Judge, I'd say the Chargers, because I'm looking at their numbers special teams wise. First of all, with the Chargers, they're always bad at special teams. I think with Phillip Rivers, they were 8-8. I think they were first in defense, first in offense, but special teams, they were 32nd. That was the reason why they were 8-8. And this year, you're seeing it too. Chargers fans, even though there's not that many Chargers fans out there, they're going to tell you special teams is always a negative with Los Angeles. So Joe Judge, I can't tell you what he does, anything else other than special teams, and he hasn't even done a good job of special teams either in New York. You can't tell me what has Joe Judge done in New York. What has he done? Nothing. He's been. Other than being a sergeant, other than being, Full Metal Jacket, with these guys, there's really nothing else I can tell you that Joe Judge.
My rifle is my friend. There are others like it, but this one is mine.
Yeah.
You sound like a Marine.
What does he do? He does absolutely nothing. John Mara and Gettleman got enamored with his personality, and he puts on the New York PD cap and says, "Oh, that guy's he's a good coach. Let's hire him." It's not working out. So Chargers special teams coach, he should never be a head coach ever again.
I got you. Dan Campbell,
I'm going to go even. This is comedy hour, by the way. I feel like this is comedy hour with Dan Campbell. I mean, you're looking at
the offensive coordinator for Bishop Sycamore.
Oh my God. I mean, the decision making on Thanksgiving, doing a double timeout. The guy is just a joke. I think
bad.
I'm not giving you an NFL destination. I'm not giving you a college destination. I'm giving you a local high school football team.
Bishop Sycamore.
Yeah, yeah, you did say Bishop Sycamore. But that was like, I'm going off cut. Not even Bishop Sycamore, because I think I wouldn't even put him there. Putting your local high school football team that's like, that needs someone, that's middling. I would go after Dan Campbell. What you're telling me? Offensive line and tight ends. Hawkinson has regressed. You can't tell me he's progressed with Dan Campbell. And the offensive line, they have done better in certain areas, but Dan Campbell as a head coach is a complete and utter disgrace. I don't know why they even looked at the guy. I mean, they saw his, resume in Miami. He was interim coach, and New Orleans. Oh, he's attached to Sean Payton. Let's just get him. It was complete and utter failure. I would put him high school level or something, maybe Pee Wee. I guess we were talking Bishop Sycamore. Let's go a little bit lower. Let's go Pee Wee.
Pee Wee, not Pee Wee.
The band of Mighty Mites.
Pee Wee.
Wow.
You called him. You said he is worse than Ted Lasso on a soccer field. It's just bad out here, man.
Wow.
That's tough. That's nasty. How about? Well, did you know? I think you killed everybody.
Oh,
no, Urban Meyer. You didn't kill him yet.
Oh, I didn't disgrace Urban Meyer yet. I'm not going to get him.
Get him.
Don't put him in confession.
Oh my
God.
Him. Look, I'm not going to put him in Florida, because I think the next thing he does in Florida, he's going to be in a penitentiary or something.
Florida man.
Jeez. Let's not put him in Florida anytime soon. I got to agree with Brian. He stole my idea. I'm going to go with Notre Dame. I mean, the guy just loves attention. I'm sure he was itching to get out of Jacksonville and go to a sexy option at that time when he got caught at that bar. So I'm going to go with Notre Dame. That's a very, sexy, attractive, destination.
He was looking for a sexy option, like a sexy NFL option, or a sexy option at the club. Like which
I think it was the latter. Yeah, embrace the grind.
Anything when it comes to Urban Meyer, if it's walking, anything.
If it's walking, if it's talking, Urban Meyer might be stalking.
So Notre Dame, I see it him, up late at night, going to his PR team saying, "Look, get me a Notre Dame. I don't care what it takes." Just being downright awful, not even telling Jacksonville I'm leaving. That's what he's going to do, probably, just like what we saw today.
Bobby Petrino did that too.
Yeah, that's the example I was thinking of. Yeah.
So I got to agree with Brian. I'm going to go with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I can concur. Of course, I can. Okay, Mr. Asden. What
Oof.
you got?
Wow, you guys really went around the gambit. You've really set the bar incredibly high. So let me see what I can attempt to do here. First off, let's go Nagy. Okay. Nagy, I think the landing spot is still in the NFL. I know a lot of people have dogged the poor man, but he needs to rebuild himself. One place I believe he will have the opportunity to do so is as some level of an offensive assistant or coordinator with the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, unfortunately, we just all saw it on Monday Night Football. That offense is broken. Something is amiss. Okay, something is not clicking there now. He may not be orchestrating a Russell Wilson offense. He may be gonzo, but he will be orchestrating some level of Seattle offense because I believe that's where Nagy lands. They need offensive help in a desperate way, and I think Pete Carroll's getting to desperation mode. He has not proven he can be capable minus Russell Wilson. Luckily, they've been paired together for most of his second act. Of course, he was a former Patriots and Jets coach before he got this second chance after USC. I think he's in desperation mode. Unfortunately, the desperation mode is Nagy. I don't know how great that is from Carroll's point of view, but I think that's where Nagy ends up. Give me the Seattle Seahawks there. And I want to jump over to Detroit. And you guys have dogged this poor man, Dan Campbell. But I'm going to be honest. I have a vision of what Dan Campbell can be. And quite frankly, I knew it from the introductory press conference. I believe, personally, Dan Campbell's true calling is a personal trainer at your local Planet Fitness. That's ultimately where I believe he's an ideal fit. And because he's such a go-getter, I believe on weekends, part-time motivational speaker at local colleges and kind of tell them about how to really take advantage of their life, despite the fact he would be working at a local Planet Fitness. So that to me is the ideal fit, ideal landing spot for one Dan Campbell this offseason. I'm
not going to wipe your butt. You wipe your butt while producer flipping iron.
That is just so disrespectful. So disrespectful. What about Urban Meyer?
Boys,
I'm waiting on this one.
I'm going to be honest here. I'm not going to go with the Notre Dame choice that seems out there. The Oklahoma, the whatever option of college football. To me, it's retirement time for old Urban. I'm going to be honest. This is the thing he's flirted with in the past. He's blamed medical things or this or that. Here's the thing. He just can't get the job done anymore. That's why you retire, okay? And while he's been handed a fistful and duffel bags of money from Jacksonville, I think it's just time to hang up the whistle, coach. You have more money. I mean, you're dumping buckets of money into the ocean of money you already have. So money is no longer an option or a real proper motivation for this guy. To me, I think it's just retirement time. He's old. And obviously, he's got a lot of other things on his mind than football, so maybe he should start spending more time doing it. I don't know if that's so great for his family, but maybe that's the ideal option for an Urban Meyer. I think retirement is what's next for old Urban.
Yeah, I mean, he's only 57, but
he's got a lot of tread on those tires. If you catch the drift.
But he loves those college girls, you know.
You just stop
Florida's
that about Mr. Meyer. I can't believe you did that. You saw talking about boy, that's terrible. What about Joe Judge?
Who was that? Mina Kimes, who said, "Wow, the Notre Dame job would be the second thing that falls into his lap over the last couple of months."
That's tough. What about Joe Judge, Mr. Aslan?
Joe Judge, I'm going to piggyback off you, Brian, but I'm going to be a bit more specific. And what I mean by this is, sure, when New England people inevitably fail, it's happened throughout the walks of life. No, they're not going to just get a job in New England that is either made up. He's going to come crawling back from New York to New England on his hands and knees, and he's just going to be doing the major pain army crawl all the way back for Bill Belichick for a job. And after Bill Belichick thinks about it for a moment, ultimately he will say, okay, you can be my special assistant to the regional manager, and he will put him on the staff with that title. Joe Judge.
Dunder Mifflin.
Dunder Mifflin. That's exactly where he's going. He's a special teams guy that apparently watched too many How to Be a Coach brought to you by Bill Belichick. And he said, let me just copy and paste this. This seems like an effective strategy. He won a bunch of Super Bowls. How hard could it be? Well, you've seen his production or lack thereof with the New York Giants. So I think he crawls on his hands and knees after he's handed his walking papers, and rightfully so, with him and Dave Gettleman getting out of there at the end of this year as they hit the Control-Alt-Delete button on this Giants regime. I think he crawls on his hands and knees all the way back to the New England organization and kisses the rings of Bill Belichick, Godfather style, and says, "Please, sir, I will do anything for you, anything." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, get off your hands and knees. All right, go clean the dishes, go watch the back." And maybe eventually he does that Nick Saban thing where they bring somebody in, and over time we kind of forget how crappy they were as a head coach, Josh McDaniels, and then ultimately they just get another opportunity in like 5 years. So I think that is the destiny for one Joe Judge.
Joe Judge sleeps with the fishes. All
That's
right,
smart because Patricia is a football advisor for the Patriots now. Again,
right. That's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah, he mentioned earlier. Yeah.